about you, we want to know. So about you on my show, we want to know. With today's special guest, Jeremy Robinson. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of We Want to Know. And today, I have an amazing guest with me. He has his own podcast. He calls the Podcast for the People. Jeremy Robinson is in the building with us today. It's coming up.
Thank you.
First of all,
Thank you.
I already told him briefly how excited I was because this is a podcaster to another podcaster. It's just dope because of so many questions, especially because I'm just starting out. So I'm ready to just ask away. But before I get into more so your podcast in specific, I kind of just wanted to ask you like your why, because I saw that you studied computer science.
Yeah.
And so this I mean, you still focus on computer science in some of your episodes, but what made you say like I want to start this podcast?
Well, I was that student in college. I went to college for computer science and computer engineering at Clark Atlanta University. And then going there, it's a black college. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing to go to a HBCU, but my experience was jaded those first couple of weeks of college because it was like, why ain't all my professors black? Like, what's going on? And then I was trying to go to YouTube and get help with some of those computer science courses. And I was like, hey, God, if you get me through this situation, which is school, like, because this is my plan, right? And I'm like, if you get me through this, I'm going to see what I can do to give back to people once I'm done. I didn't know how that looked at the time, but as time went throughout school, I always was good with connecting with people and networking with people. And they were like, man, you always know how to bring people together. So one day I was sitting around, I was just like, I'm gonna start It Factor, man. It's gonna be for the people, it's gonna be cool, and we're gonna change the narrative. And just to see how it has transitioned from the first day I started to now being 3 years it's amazing. It's amazing.
That's so amazing to hear. So I know you said like that you kind of was just like you wanted to give back to the people, but I know when I first started, I had known that I wanted to do some kind of content of some kind. But what made you say like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do? Like pinpoint it specifically to focusing on just black people doing dope things.
Got you. So I felt as though in our lifetime, you don't see that as much. Like black people doing positive things, or like you don't see the rapper that is an engineer. Like he's a rapper, but he's an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, or you see a math teacher, or I treat them the same way I treat the big people that I bring onto my platform. Like I may bring on a big name football player. You might be, dang, I know him, da da da. I want you to look at that video the same way you're looking at the math teacher because we're in the same boat, and I wanted to be able to show that like, it's some things that's different from outside of like what you usually see. And as time went, of course, at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna do tech people, it's gonna be cool. But after a while, that list of tech people ran out because it's so short to me. And I was like, oh, dang, I really don't know that many people. But actuality was like, nah, I really know more people like that. And I talked to my mom, talked to my friends, my fiance. And I was just like, man, I should probably interview some of them or interview people that do different professions because it's gonna keep me outside of a box. Because you never want to put yourself in a box, especially when you're doing something like podcasting. Same with just seeing black people, even to now, just seeing so many people from, yes, in the United States, but even being able to interview somebody from the United Kingdom, to step outside of the United States. It's like, oh, dang, they watch the show? Okay, cool. You want to come on the show, And even, different race of people just like, hey, I support your show. I love what you're doing. To one day, when it's all said and done, everybody might come onto my show. So that's how I kind of wanted. But I always wanted to show this. Yes, it's for us first, like at the end of the day, because you don't see many like it. And if you do see many like it, it's like the biggest name people in the world. Ain't nothing wrong with that, But it's like I wanted to show that you can start from somewhere at the bottom and kind of build your way up.
Sure. I know because of what you just talked about, I know you're really strong on changing the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess how important is that for you, and how important do you think it is for other people to kind of step out and also help change that narrative?
Mm-hmm. So I would say it's very important. I think that changing the narrative, a lot of people may get it mixed screwed and be like, oh, he just donated to this or did this. And it's like, no, it's bigger than that. It's like, yes, I do the podcast, but I also do outreach. I also teach. I also offer advice. I do things like this. I could have easily been like, no, I don't have time, but I'm setting time to say, hey, I don't care how your platform is, it's gonna grow, and I want to be a part of it. So changing the narrative, it starts with you. A lot of people don't notice that when it comes to certain things. So when I interviewed them, they're like, "Man, thank you for inviting me. Like, what made you want me to made you want to be?" I said, "I research you. I see what I have seen on time again with different people. And you really start to like do a vetting process. Like, dang man, these people really are doing something good. Their story need to be told. You know, so that's my biggest thing. But also, when it comes to it, I was just that kid from rural Georgia that was like trying to figure it out. And when I got to Atlanta to go to Clark Atlanta University, I'm still trying to figure it out. And in time, I'm like, you know, man, how about I get a group of people and we can figure this stuff out together? You know, we can make change. And those group of people happen to be Black people. So cool. It's real cool, man. It's a
Right.
cool thing to be able to be a part of.
That's really dope. I think sometimes we forget how many people we do know that are just dope black people because we just know them from here. I
Mhm.
learned that as well. Like as I started my We Want to Know, I've
Mhm.
seen how many people I know that I'm like, dang, I can't believe you're this talented. I just kept
Yeah.
I just saw you as this.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just amazing. So I know you're always repping HBCUs and you just talked about it. So I
Mhm.
think how important is it that, we support these HBCUs and that people continue to change the game and kind of speak out on behalf of HBCUs for you?
It's very important because, like I were taught in rural Georgia, had Fort Valley State University, right? And my whole family went there, and I was able to go out and say, "Okay, I'm coming to Clark," and it was able to visit Tuskegee, Savannah State. I can go down the whole list of that. But the most important thing that I was told as a child is these were the first schools that we was able to attend. You know, to the point of like hearing from an uncle, like, yeah, I had offers to these PWIs, but like my mom was scared for me to go there because certain things can happen that can happen to me. When you go to HBCU, these things you don't have to worry about. It's like, let me get my education. You know, I'm gonna have some fun, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna get my education. I'm gonna learn about myself. Also, on top of that, it's gonna teach me to not adjust to the worldly ways of, oh, well, they working at this big company. That's why I gotta stay, and that's all I can do. Just off of me going to my HBCU, it made me get the positivity and also the step out ability to say, hey, you know what, man, I can start the it factor while still working for this big company because this is someday what I want to do, you know. So definitely you have to, I feel like it's a big thing that like for Black people, you can go to a PWI, you can go to any school you want to, but if you can go experience the HBCU, I definitely guarantee that you will get like beyond the measures. It ain't just about the parties, it's just the classes that you'll sit in, or the people or the faculty that you meet, because you never know. You look left, look right. That's a doctor, that's a lawyer that you may need in the future, you know, and they look just like you know. So it's always amazing. It's just a nostalgia from every HBCU, especially my HBCU, Clark Atlanta University. Just a nostalgia of the friends I have met. I met my fiance there. Like I met most of my friends there. I can go down a whole laundry list of people that I met that I still stay in contact with. The reason why my show's still popping today because one of my best friends do all of my episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Gotta love our
it
HBCU.
it needed to be, you know.
Gotta love them. I gotta, you rep yours. I gotta rep mine. It's the
Uh-huh.
first Lincoln University. Shout out to all the
Oh, that's
Lincoln
what's up.
listeners.
That's what's up.
So I saw that you are actually with the Ham Network. I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about that and how that came about.
Yeah, so I'm with that network, and it's a building network where my frat brother started, man. Kevin, man, Kevin, just an amazing guy that saw something in me. It was like we was sitting in the house one day. He's like, "I'm gonna start this network. You gonna be a part of it?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, because when it blow up, I want to be my name gonna be on there, you know." And I mean, it brings on different collectives like myself, being a networking person that brings so many people together that's in different careers and professions. And you just have different people that talk about traveling, life advice, mental health, different things that I feel like the Black community does need. Ham is just Happy Accidents Media is amazing at what it's doing. I got to keep helping it to grow, man. Definitely, definitely. Thank
That's
you for asking that, cause Ham, man, you got me on my feet. Cause Ham, my thing, man. I love them people, man. They good people, man. Definitely.
that's dope. Just to see, black people just as one, just trying to lift each other up. It's dope. That's what it's all about. Um, so really, we're gonna go into our game. I like to call this session We also want to know, Garrett, after season 1, or we want to know. So some of these questions, they have relevance. Some of them, not so much.
Uh,
So the first question, let me look at my book here. So I love to ask people, if you could travel anywhere, where would you go? That's always, I love to ask people that.
ooh, Africa. I got it tatted on me. You know, it's the motherland. So I definitely want to go there. It
I
don't matter
love
where I'm going. It don't matter where I can go. I can be in the jungle. You feel me? I would be there.
it.
I would be
Love that. It's crazy. The last few people I've interviewed have said that same thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm right with y'all. I want to go too.
there.
Outside of your own podcast, what's some of your like favorite podcasts that you listen to like constantly?
Wow. I listened to the Pivot podcast, like Ryan Clark, a guy that I brought on to my podcast, and just some other guys that I like. Um, I like the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, two NFL athletes. I just got on to this show, and his name, he went to Clark Atlanta University. His name is Bummy, the Bummy Jones show. I like that show, starting to like it, just learning about it and just hearing some of the topics, just amazing. And just in general, I think that any person that I have brought onto my show that has a podcast, I definitely listen to them. I don't want to leave nobody out. So I listen to a lot of podcasts because, believe it or not, listening to them will help you in the long run. You know, I like to listen to them because I get different perspectives from each and every one of them that I listen to. And also it makes me like, okay, dang, I might not be doing this right. Let me see if I can reach out to this person. So
Mm.
yeah, definitely, always. Those are some of my main ones that I watch. I watch I Am Athlete, different things like that. With me being a former athlete, I definitely like watch those podcasts because, of course, I'm a big football fan. But just some of the topics that they hit on for Black males is like, wow, this is on point. Like this is good. Like I definitely need this. So yeah, some of the few of the
That's
many that I
dope.
watch.
That's dope. Okay. If you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Ooh, what will I be doing? Ooh, that's a good question. Like, what do you mean? Like, do you mean that with my outside of my profession or
Both. Outside of
anything?
if you weren't even doing the podcasting, if you weren't even at your profession, if you just switched completely.
Oh, if I switch completely, which I am gonna do, I'll be a college professor, man.
That's dope.
Keep the classes laid back. Like, pay me to just chill and teach these kids, man. That's my thing right there, you know. But outside of that, if I wasn't doing it, I go back to when I was a kid. I love fish and stuff like that. I would be an oceanographer right now, like for real.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay. This is one of the random ones. If in 40 years, what's something you think people are gonna consider nostalgia?
Nostalgia in 40 years. Anything that has Kendrick Lamar in it, anything that
Oh,
has J. Cole in it, anything that has the It Factor podcast in it. Because I'm like, I remember when Jeremy did this. Because in 40 years, you know, we'd be big time. We'd be out here like, oh, I
right.
remember when you used to do this, you know. Another thing that's gonna be nostalgia, especially for black people, is just looking back and be like, you remember when they poured into every HBCU? Like it was like the new hot thing? You know, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Another random one. If you could detach a body part, what would you choose? Like if there
Ooh.
was you could just detach it right now and then click it back in.
Oh, detach it. I think it would be fine to detach your hand real quick. Be like, yeah, man, I broke it, man. I really can't work today, especially in my profession. Man, I can't type none today, man. You better just attach it back. They'd be so confused. They'd be like, what the world going on?
For sure. They'd be like, what is it happening?
hmm Also, in certain times, I would detach my mouth too, because sometimes you just need to be quiet and listen. Let me take my mouth out. You know.
That is true. Another random one. If you could be any kind of chip, what would you be?
Ooh, what kind of chip would I be? Mm, I gotta be some bum chip, like some chip that nobody don't mess with. I don't want to get ate, man. That ain't the way. So I'm trying to think. Like, this is a good question, man. I ain't gonna lie. Even though it's random, that's a good question. Uh, mm, I'd be some type of garlic forming chip that you know nobody don't eat, like
Yeah.
garlic lays or something. So you ain't gonna mess with me. I'm just gonna be up down the counter. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see people going for the garlic chip. They try to stay away, so that
yeah,
might
cause
work.
they right.
Yeah. So this is one of the last questions. If life were a video game, what do you think would be some of the cheat codes?
The cheat codes. Give me a big old house. You know, you got to get all the money. It'd be like Grand Theft Auto in this thing. Give me all the cars I want. Like, give me all like everything that I want. Just give it to me. You know, up to cheat code. Biggest cheat code, like give me the car and house I want. You feel me? Make sure everybody you put the cheat code in. Everybody in your life they stay alive forever. Those type
Oh
of things.
yeah.
Like, life forever type thing. No matter what.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. So that is our quick game session. We also want to know, so we're gonna dive back into the questions. So of course we gotta speak about the it factor.
Uh-huh.
How did you come up with that name?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Now that's nostalgia. You taking me back now. I came up with a name with one of my friends that was my co-host for like 2 episodes, like episode 0 and episode 1. If you're a real It Factor fan, when y'all watch this, you'll know what I'm talking about. My boy, I still talk to him now. We still work together. And we was in the house like, hey man, we gonna call it Bros That Code. And I was like, no, that put me in the box, bro. I can't do that. Then he's like, we gonna code together. I'm like, bro, that's not. So as time went, one day it's late because it took like 2 days to get it. I was like, bro, the It Factor, because it's a play on words, you know, IT, of course. But say when I leave, it's still It Factor. Now I can ask people, what is your It Factor? Why you do what you do? You feel me? And he was like, I respect that. So instead of asking people like, why you do what you do, like, what's your It Factor? Because it catch people off guard. Like, that's a good question. So yeah, definitely. I came up with it off that. Like it took a while. Then I had a fro, so we had created this logo back in college. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna see if I can do something with this. And
Oh,
played and did real well. Did really well.
that's cool. So I know, like, also you had your series that focuses on football and coding and stuff. So how did you decide? Oh, I also want to focus on football, and like, how did you merge the everything into um the it factor and just
Mhm.
your whole brand, so that they can just coexist so beautifully?
Got you. So first off, I'm gonna tell you this. You when I started this, it's like, oh, okay, I play football. Okay, I did this. And it's like, granted, those can't be the only people that you interview because it's more people that's black that and it's gotta have some substance to it. So how I was able to merge them is like I literally look for athletes that do stuff outside of just play football or play basketball or tennis. And also, how was I going to bring women into that? I was like, all right, how am I going to do this? So when it came with tech, it's like I know a lot of lawyers, doctors, I know engineers, but I also know police. I also know I can go down a whole list of people that I know. So when I take time to reflect. I write everything down in a notebook, believe it or not. Like tech, I love typing stuff, but writing stuff down, you kind of make it visual to yourself and you have to go back to it. So I may write down, hey, I'm gonna reach out to a lawyer. I'm gonna reach out to a person that career you never heard of, but they're black. So we're gonna interview them. And then also in the midst of me doing that and trying to get athletes on, that's how I was able to bring on someone like Brian that is also over the culture and diversity for, the Indianapolis Colts. And he's one of the first of 5 out of 32 teams in the NFL. Granted, he played college football, but he doesn't play no more, but he serves us in a bigger realm because he's over culture and diversity. So like I was able to like, okay, people should want to hear from that because that's a job one that you can have, but also that's something that's new. And why is it so small a number when it's 32 football teams? So definitely you have to think. I think like kind of outside the box when I kind of bring on the people that I bring on, especially when it's like, oh, they play football. Oh, okay. Oh, they're an engineer. Oh, okay, they're a lawyer. All right, but what else do they do that's gonna bring some substance? That's gonna bring some good conversation to the show. And also, I just love bringing anybody on. To be honest, depending on what your career is, man. If you're a ditch digger, like my grandma said, if you're the best ditch digger, I want you on the show. I ain't cutting no cut cards because I know you're gonna be able to come on here and have a conversation.
Hmm. That's so these like next two or three are really just questions that I have as someone, trying to grow. So when it comes to like networking and wanting to expand your network, what advice would you have? Because I know, like, I'm always trying to reach out to someone black who's doing something different, and no matter what the field is, but sometimes it could be tricky to find that, or
Mhm.
network with these people.
Yeah. So first off, I would say always be polite and you're reaching out and genuine. Build a network with these people because you never know who you're gonna be reaching out to. Or it's kind of like stalking it sometimes. Like, hey, I'm gonna reach out to this they cousin, but I know they know him. Cool. And it's like at first it's like, dang, I don't really want to do that. But after a while, it's like, nah, this is my plan. This is what I want. This is how I want to chase my dream. So let me do it. I would say, but be polite and genuine in doing that when you reach out. Like, need to be a paragraph like I send out to most people that I bring onto my show. I'm telling them, hey, about the show a little bit. Then I'm telling them how they can sign up. But before all of that, I'm saying, hey, how are you doing? My name, I mean, with they name, my name, I'm just setting it up to let them know, like, first off, hey, how you doing, man? Like, you doing all right? Cool. Before I ask you for anything else, I want to make sure you good. And a lot of people tell me, like, man, that's the reason why I stayed in touch with you. Also, be diligent in how you reach out to people. You may reach out to them, and like they may not hit you back for 2 weeks, a month, a year. Hit them back. Hey, it's a holiday. Hey, how you doing? Even if it's not even a holiday, it's just a regular day. Hey, how you doing? I reached out to you. You probably was busy. Do 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 do. I can help you with the offline too if you need help. Like definitely. But like the last thing I would say is be yourself every time that you reach out to people, or that you say you want this person. Say you want Oprah on your show one day. Well, find Oprah's publicist, or you may get in touch with Oprah, but you got to believe it first. Nobody else can tell you. They can tell you all day, oh, you're never gonna interview Oprah. You never gonna. But in your mind, you got to say, I'm gonna interview Oprah. You know, that's how I get most of the people on my show. In the same way that I try to go to get Oprah on my show, it's the same way I try to get you on my show. Because I'm gonna treat you with the same respect.
That's dope. Thank you for that advice. Also, I wanted to ask because you have been doing, you said 3 years, right? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So how has that journey been, like trying to elevate your podcast in that 3 year span? Because I know starting out like where I am, it's not necessarily easy. There's a lot of work you got to put in that people don't see. So how has that journey been for you?
First off, like I just said, believe it yourself before anyone. Believe yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because the only way somebody else is gonna believe it is see how, dang, Jeremy really care about the it factor, bro. Like he really going in, he doing the they don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see like when you up and you dreaming about it, are you like, I really gotta make this happen. So I would say that, don't look at the numbers. Don't look at the people that follow you. If I'm the only person watching your show, you don't know what my background may be or
Mm-hmm.
how I may repost your show and somebody that see it like, oh, we should have been watching this. Let's go what? So it takes time to build something great. You don't want nothing that just built the next day. Like, oh, okay, that's good. Because in a few more years or a few weeks, it's gonna be like, I ain't watching that no more. Cool. You want to build something that you can see your friends, your family looking back and saying, okay, I like that. But also, more importantly, something that, okay, I love this. Like, I love this. We love this. Like, this is my thing. This is what I started. Cool. But like, I think a lot of us get lost in today's time of saying, oh, it need to be this social media number. He got a big following. And then we also mess ourselves up with saying, yeah, my little show, like I ain't got that much following. I don't want to hear that from nobody because, yeah, I hear that in the back of my mind. Don't get me wrong. I'm human. But it's still like, dog, I interviewed this person, this person, this person. I interviewed almost 100 and some people, like over 100 some people. And that's not to brag, it's to show you that you're going to be able to do it too. But I'm here to tell you that, like, everybody not going to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that. It's going to take time to grow. And sometimes it's gonna be like an ocean. It's gonna be like cool. It's gonna keep coming back to like, dang, we ain't growing at all. Sometimes it's gonna shoot up. But even when it's shooting up, you gotta see the bigger plan that like, what am I doing this for? And that's what's gonna keep driving you. Because if you're not doing it for a reason, then you're not gonna have any drive. So always strive to give somebody some substance. Make yourself happy. Like everybody else, like, it don't matter. If this show is making you happy or you got to make a pivot in it, then make a pivot. It's fine. That's where you can email me and be like, how did you pivot in this moment? How did you do this? Or how did you get to this many people? And it's like, yeah, I got this many people because it takes time to draw people in. Also, the last thing I would say is don't be afraid to reach out to anybody.
Mm.
Get you some business cards and hand them out to everybody. I don't care if they ain't black. Hand them out because you never know. Everybody watch podcasts, man. I don't care what you listen to for church, for a message, for sports, for everything. You can watch a podcast. So that's nothing. That's just like how you got in touch with me. I could have easily been like, oh, she got this many subscribers, but I don't look at people like that. I value people too much because it's like that's where you started at. I was there too. So like, what I look like not pouring back into that.
Thank you for that
Yeah.
amazing advice. So also I wanted to, because you mentioned this, because your podcast, you say it's for the people, and
Mm-hmm.
so how has that been? Because I know, sometimes there has been times I think, maybe I wanted to reach out to someone who wasn't black, but I specifically said my
Yeah,
you know, my stuff was for the black people. So how do you deal with that kind
believe
of
it or not,
balance?
like I said, I listened to the guys busting the boys. I listened to an episode, and my guys from the pivot was on, right? They black dudes. When you see it, you look it up. They was with I Am Athlete. Like that's how they all tie together. I'm going somewhere with this story. But while I'm watching them, I'm like, these two white dudes, they play football. That's cool. And even my fiance looked for a couple seconds. She walked off because she used to be watching black people like podcasts. But I thought in my head, I'm like, I'm watching this because my people on here. That's the only reason. But after a while, I'm like, they brought a hockey player. I'm like, I like hockey. All right, cool. Then they brought somebody else on there. I'm like, man, these some cool guys. Yeah, they don't look like me. It's cool. So in the midst of doing that a few months ago, I was like, let me write up something that'll tailor to them too. Because granted, they can come onto the It Factor too, especially if they got a perspective. But the thing that's going different about them coming on the show, they literally got to be somebody for me to bring them on the show. Like it can't just be no random, oh, you got here because your daddy did this. No, I want to see what you went through to get to where you at, type thing. So that's my type of thing. And another thing is, we shouldn't be afraid that it's for our people. Like think about it when your HBC was made. You think it was like, oh, I'm afraid this. A lot of times it's like, dang, I wish we should have just left the HBC alone. Or even with my fraternity, dang, we should have never did this fraternity because this is what we're gonna face. No, it's like it's something bigger. I always see the bigger picture in it. Like, yes, it's for the black folks. Yeah, cool. But it's gonna be so good that when you see it, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I gotta go to It Factor. I know he hasn't Jeff Bezos be like, I know Jeremy hasn't interviewed a white person. But hey, today I'm gonna come on here and do it. So that's how you have to look at it, definitely.
Thank you. That, wow, so many gems in this episode. So lastly, I love always to just leave the people off with some advice, and you already given so much, but what advice would you give someone who wants to create, not sure what they want to create or even if they should create? What advice do you have for them?
I got the best advice ever, and it's created by Nike. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Because if you don't, it's a lot of graveyards with people that had ideas that never got them off the ground. Why? Because they was too worried about their self-image. They was worried about everybody else, and not too much worried about the message that they was gonna give. So in the essence of that, just do it because time is too short not to do it.
Wow. But as you say that, what's some of the best advice you've been given by someone maybe you've interviewed over on your podcast?
Some of the best advice, and it's a lot, but one of my biggest things that got me was I was able to interview Ryan Clark, and after this episode, look him up because I don't know if you know him, but he's a great Steeler. I got to watch him play football, right? But got to watch him be a great analyst now. One of the best black analysts. He bigger than Stephen A. But like to interview him and him to tell me you're diligent, you timely at what you do, and you genuine. That hit me a lot. He like this gonna keep you going for multiple years. To hear somebody that big say that to you, it really like dang cool. And also something as simple as just saying keep doing what you're doing. Those are some of the best. That's the best advice I have got from the show. And lastly, the best advice outside of all those people that said those things is my mom saying, "Hey, I can't believe you interviewed this person. Who you interviewing next?" So those are the things that drive me. My mom definitely drives me when it comes to like everything. So just to hear her say, "Hey, I seen you interviewed this. Let me see this," and it's like, okay, cool. I'm doing the right thing then. So definitely just say, "Hey, baby, you're doing the right thing. I'm proud of you." That means a lot. So definitely.
Wow, thank you so much. It's just so many great gems. Thank you for sharing your story with your podcast. And if y'all haven't listened, make sure y'all go check it out. Where can the people find you at and listen to the podcast at?
Got you. So you can find me on Instagram at Rob Jeremy, ROBJEREMY. Also at the It Factor Podcast. Also on YouTube, the It Factor Podcast. Or type in Black Sin and you'll find me because you just got that good algorithm now. Hey, Blacks and Tech, Blacks and Lloyd, Blacks and we got it all. So just, I would say, follow me, man, and you get a good message.
Thank you. Anyways, that will be down below as well in the links in the description. It will be there, so y'all could go hit them and just check him out because he's dope. As y'all heard in this entire interview, it's just amazing. Can't wait to see the rest of your journey as the it factor grows and grows. And just thank you again for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. If you ever need any help, please let me know.
Wow, thank you. Well, that ends this episode. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you give this video a huge like. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified every single time I post. Until next time, beautiful people. Bye. About you, we wanna know. So about you on my show, we want to know.